played Ezreal, and he has got it again in game 2, and we're going to see Ice Beasto, who had a magnificent performance in game 1, taking his Gangplank again.
Right now, the draft is looking pretty good for eSuba. Let's see what they're gonna pair up the Xayah with. Alpstar seems to be a pretty good combo, as you might not actually have the opportunity to get an all-in to either Ezreal or Braum, but they were lacking that card engage. Along with Sejuani, both Alpstar and Sejuani will be able to provide to the team of eSuba some pretty good front lane, along with the necessary crowd control that will give Xayah enough time to apply her damage output.
All right, the teams are locked in. We know exactly what illuminar and eSuba will be taking in game 1 as they look to give themselves a head start in this best-of-5 series. The crowd have all come into the dome here in Hungary. They've got the thunderclappers out, and they're excited to see some high-quality League of Legends.
So basically, a few things. Like when we were told that we're going to be casting the V4, I think pretty much no one was expecting the 300,000 prize pool to be awaiting. Like, this is basically double the NALCS prize pool. This is something never been done before, and that's the exact reason we do see such strong teams gathering here today. Right here, we do witness some former LCS players such as Woolite and Ardius, both sitting on the ADC position, and that will be making bot lane a much more fun lane to watch than the rest.
It certainly is going to be fascinating. Is it fair to say, though, that eSuba in their previous 2 games really liked to play towards Humanoid in the mid lane?
I'm pretty sure that Humanoid was always a star player in Czech Republic. I think right here, eSuba picking him up for the tournament really makes them much better of a team, and I think it's a really big plus for them right now. It's not a big surprise. We do see the Rise ban. The Azir is actually very problematic though from Illuminar, because they did invest their first pick right there, but they were not really sure what they were going to see against them. The Strain is actually one of the best picks to have, especially since you can flex it in the mid lane. And I think we're going to see some really good performance from both Humanoid and Sekufka. So I'm really not sure about what we're going to see from the Syndra of Humanoid in the mid lane, but just forcing that cleanse against a Sejuani and a Syndra is enough pressure to shut down Sabex in the early game.
Alrighty, we are on to the Rift. Only a few seconds until the minions spawn. We've already had the Mountain Goat greeting these 2 teams, the Chechen team of eSuba and Illuminar Gaming from Poland. And right now, we are going to see the both sides looking to help their jungler out on the bottom half of the map. It's going to be a red buff start for Tabasco as Yeki is going to try and take away his blue buff.
That's actually interesting. And right here, both junglers will be mirroring each other, which means we shouldn't see way too much action into the early game. Right here, the important things to notice is that, first of all, Ice Beasto already has an elixir on him, and that might shift the tides of the top lane, because that kleptomancy proc is often the catalyst between winning or losing the lane. Right now, just take a quick look at D-Lord. He's already applying a lot of pressure on the bot side by getting that Winter's Bite onto Nardius on level 1, which of course is very painful.
We've got Kleptomancy on both the Ezreal and on the Gangplank for Illuminar Gaming, so they're going to be getting their power spikes even earlier if they can make the most of that Keystone. Meanwhile, we do see the Arcane Comet for both mid laners, trying to get that extra little bit of harass damage down.
So basically, level 3 right here hit by both junglers. Tabasco will be getting that Gromp along with a blue buff, with, of course, his standardized performance by Zach. Right here, we should expect an effort towards the top lane, because Strange should be put down very, very early into the game, although I'm not really sure if Tabasco will be using some of his time right there. I believe that both junglers will be opting towards the power farming of their own jungle, since they are both popping off when they hit level 6. They know it's important as a power spike, so they shouldn't risk their scaling into mid game for an early gank, especially since both their solo lanes are scaling.
Swain there doing a decent bit of damage in the trade over to Gangplank. So far, we are seeing Ice Beasto having a slightly tougher time of it, but he is ahead in CS. I'm slightly surprised that we are seeing the Doran shield start from this Xayah in comparison to the Doran's blade that the Ezreal's picked up.
There's Tabasco. He will be staying on the top side just to make sure that Ice Beasto will not be getting ganked right here. Yaki is going to get spotted by that ward. Of course, Tabasco is hiding right away, but neither of those is going to go and do something aggressive. Now there's Tabasco. He's charging in.
Here we go. Stretching Strike is going to land onto the Shektuta, and he is going to try and get out of trouble. Meanwhile, though, we're going to see the Sejuani gank in the mid lane. Humanoid goes for the stun. The knockback does land on Sebex, but he immediately cleanses. He's going to get away, just burning the one summoner spell. No summoner spells were burnt, though, in the top lane. So overall, between the two ganks, it was more successful out of Yeki in the mid lane. So here we go, we're down into the bottom lane, and at the moment we do see a very, very narrow CS lead for the Ezreal-Braum combination. However, with that Kleptomancy, the gold lead is certainly going to pile up. That 100 gold, obviously with no first blood on the table at the minute, is simply coming from the Kleptomancy keystone that both Gangplank and Swain have got. Right, let's see if Swain is going to be able to continue to harass Gangplank here. He's having a fairly nice time of it. Obviously had that little bit of pressure put onto him from Tabasco early on, but not too much was lost by the Swain in that lane, who's having a pretty good time of sustaining up.
The question right here, Greyheart, is if Sheen is going to be enough for Ice Beasto to get a normal laning phase without too much interruptions, because right here, Chekutka has the ability to all-in him after level 6. Of course, paired up with a Sejuani, Yaki will be able to even tower dive him, and this should be the biggest weakness of IAG's early game.
Alrighty, so we've got the Lost Chapter picked up by Syndra in the mid lane. We've already got the refillable potions and the Dark Seal keeping Azir safe. In the mid lane at the moment, we've seen that one gank come in. Do we expect to see more players out of Sejuani coming towards mid lane? I guess the answer is yes, because yet again, there is Yeki hovering around looking for a play on the Sebex.
I think he got spotted by the ping word. Sebex gets interrupted.
Oh, it doesn't matter, he got spotted. He's got the flash out of Sebex. Ooh.
That was pretty good aggression. Getting his flash early on will mean that most probably the team of Illuminar Gaming will not be able to apply a lot of pressure around mid lane. Sebex no longer has the luxury of moving way too far into the lane or even try to go for a play. Right here, the smallest mistake could be punished by Yaki, since he has a really close proximity to that level 6, and the Glacial Prison is coming very soon.
It certainly will be. And up in top lane, the damage that Swain is putting down onto Gangplank is really, really significant, harassing the Gangplank at the moment, and the captain is having a tough time of things, having to keep his oranges at hand to keep himself safe.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the items. Right here, we do see Lost Chapter being picked up by Humanoid, so we're not going to see one of the two rushes. He's not going to be in too much over us to go for that tier and stack it. He is prioritizing his lane dominance first, and right here he's stretching. Tabasco is actually going to catch him.
All right, as it looks for the Emperor's Divide, but the flash is enough for Humanoid to stay safe, but that's a key summoner spell burnt in mid.
All right, so both mid laners are out of flashes. That is a signal for both junglers that they will be having their eyes set on both Sebex and Humanoid. Right here, we do have two junglers that are very able of both tower diving and catching people out of position. So finding those static mages in that mid lane, especially like the Syndra one, without their flash available, is definitely a very good sign for them to go aggro. Right here, Ice Beasto is possibly getting dived, and right here the ward is actually spotting Yaki, so they do have some really bad senses over what's gonna happen, so they abort the mission, and that's a really good call since we did see Tabasco closing in.
Yaki, who hasn't had perhaps quite as much impact in the lanes as Tabasco just yet, has managed to use that extra time to get himself quite a significant CS lead. And even though it's not necessarily the jungler that you most want to have your CS lead on, if you're picking up your Cinder Hulk a little bit earlier and getting items to assist your carries, it's just going to make your team stronger for it.
he's actually very patient. Like, if you took a look at the semifinals of eSuba versus the team of XD, he was very patient, and he's really knowledgeable too of the Zac versus Sejuani matchup. On their game versus XD, he stopped a lot of initiations of a Zac right there with some pretty beautiful glacial prisons mid-air on a Zac. And right here, I'm expecting Yaki to simply offer his teammates some pretty good scaling into the mid game. No, not a lot of risk. And if you really trust your team, if you have put those hours, if you really trust your teammates to carry you through mid and late game, then simply offering them an even game should be enough to win the rest of it.
Speaking of risk, Bliss, neither team really seems to want to take any at the moment. We saw the ultimate there being channeled by Jakut. Oh, wow. Humanoid with a nice knockback, but here comes Tabasco. That's going to be the Let's Bounce. It pops both Humanoid and Denick up, but not going to be enough to pull them back. There's the stretching strikes. Humanoid does get pulled back very slightly. Yet again, we're going to see safe mid laner for eSuba. And I was just saying how Chakutka immediately popped the ultimate and an immediate respect flash from Ice Beasto, who did not have any interest in giving away first blood in this series.
Well, there's really no surprise right there. Since we saw those flashes getting burned on mid lane, we were expecting jungle pressure to be applied. Right here, I think it's really clever from Denick that he roams towards mid lane just to become that plan B for Humanoid. He knows that Humanoid is a moving target, and just being there for him, just in case something happens, actually pays off already with the first effort. So, pretty nice map awareness of him. Let's take a quick look at the wording right here. As you can see, Illuminar Gaming have been placing mostly defensive wards and not aggressive ones, since Zac can actually gank through a very safe range, and he doesn't actually need to place himself behind the enemies. This should suffice for the mid lane ganks of Tabasco.
And Bliss, I think a part of that comes from the fact that we have seen Yeki going and stealing away the camps of Tabasco, and just the frustration that's going to occur from that does mean that possibly we see those deeper wards in the jungle of Illuminar Gaming. Now, they're looking to take the first neutral objective of the game. This is going to be a Cloud Drake immediately secured by Illuminar Gaming.
Funnily enough, we have gotten used to calling that Cloud Drake a Cloud Drake, since it's the least useful one, but against the Swain, keeping your distance is of vital importance. And right here, Ice Beasto is actually getting dove.
He is holding the ultimate as long as possible, trying to get Ice Beasto stunned up. And Ice Beasto, who didn't give away the first blood earlier, certainly will now. And it will go over to the Swain in top lane. He triggers his ultimate, and he puts down the Sailor.
There is a first blood for Chakutka, and despite the excellent execution by Yaki, they both keep their flashes. They do not really use too many of those resources to get that first blood. And just for good measure, we did see Humanoid actually roam topside using that pink ward, making sure that Ice Beasto is not gonna go away. And we just talked about how dangerous and how fragile that Gangplank pick is in the early game. This is totally Illuminar Gaming's weakness in the early game, and the eSuba know so well what to take advantage of.
Great timing as well, realizing that with the dragon being taken down near the bot side of the map, things were going to be nice and easy to pick off Ice Beasto there in the top lane. That was going to be a Trinity Force-less Gangplank. He only had the Sheen and Phage at that point, going up against a Rod of Ages already completed on Chakutka. And as he recalls, he picks himself up an Amplifying Tome, he gets himself refillable potions, and he's going to come back to lane even stronger.
Okay, so I want to be talking about the win conditions of each team, because right here we do see Ice Beasto going down, but eSuba are getting 0 objectives off it. They're not really winning anything out of it except from the gold of the first blood, and it's really good. But the win condition of eSuba is actually giving Humanoid a surviving laning phase. They know he is a moving target, and since we have reached 12 minutes without him getting a single death, his flushes right back, I'm gonna say that the win condition of their early game is actually being met. Right here, Swain is being a target, and Tabasco jumps in.
Yeah, he decides to flash away, gets caught by the stretching strike and the Let's Bounce, but it pushes him back towards his turret, and that's going to mean that Chakutka is able to get out of trouble pretty easily at the end. He does burn his flash, and with teleport recently down, summon the Swain for a little while.
this is exactly why Swain is considered one of the strongest picks of 8.5. Right here, he has simply got into his first power spike, which is Rod of Aces. It's not even fully stacked either. He has 3 out of those 10 stacks, and he's already way too tanky to feel the pressure of Tabasco. Right here, Illuminar does not even feel like top lane is an option. It's not even a choice when it comes to ganking. Right here, it's pretty simple for them. They have to keep stacking that Woolite with farm and with tier stacks, and it's actually Sebex in the middle lane with the Azir pick, which has the proper mobility. He has the burst needed in order to create ganks, in order to utilize the crowd control that Zac has to offer with Tabasco. And right here, for Illuminar Gaming, it might be good enough for them to simply just scale.
Yeah, it might well be good enough, but so far Humanoid has done a fantastic job of staying safe, barely having to burn any summoner spells at all. Yet again, we do see Yeki going to return to the top, and he just wants to
Look how
keep
careful
trying to
he
get
is.
Sukuta further ahead. This could mean trouble for Ice Beasto.
He dodges.
Here comes Yeki. We do see Bristle narrowly driving Sejuani slightly wide of Gangplank. This time, Ice Beasto stays safe.
He has to be thorough with his positioning, exactly guessing where Yeki is on the map, because right here he knows he is the Achilles heel of Illuminar Gaming. He might lose his tower very early on, but all he needs is to scale. He already has that Trinity Force, which is a proper start for a Gangplank with only 1 death, and his tower slowly going down. That's a small price to pay if your Gangplank safely scales into late game.
Good news for eSuba though, because we do see Illuminar were pushing down the bot lane turret. They take it, but not until first brick has already been picked up by the side of eSuba Gaming up in the top lane. The gold lead increases. We're now at nearly 1,000 gold in favor of eSuba, despite those 2 Kleptomancy champions on Illuminar.
I believe that's way too small of a price to pay. Right here, it's 1,000 gold lead versus a Cloud Dragon that has been contested and successfully taken by the team of Illuminar. The blue buff is going to get kidnapped too, but now Sebex goes for the engage.
He gets the Emperor's Divide, only lands onto Denick though, courtesy of a couple of flashes. Here comes the Glacial Fish, who's not going to land onto anybody. Humanoid is caught by the Stretching Strike. There's going to be the knock-up on to the Sejuani. Meanwhile, though, Swain has joined the fight, and with Alistar in the middle of everything, this is going to mean trouble for the Braum, who goes down. The Lord is deleted. Moonlight trying to throw down damage at the backline, but in the end, the engage from Illuminar turns into a kill for eSuba.
Absolutely beautiful flank by the team of eSuba. Chekutka found himself exactly where he needed to be right here. This death timer of Dealer is going to get banished as Ice Beast will follow, and this is certainly going to mean the mid lane tower going down, giving the advantage to eSuba 2-for-1 in towers.
Rotations to make Monte Cristo proud there from eSuba. Denick comes in with yet another catch, gets his 2nd assist of the game, gets a 2nd kill for the Swain. Actually, I think that one might have gone over to the Xayah. And overall, all across the map, things going nicely for eSuba.
Yeah, that was going pretty well for eSuba. Just take a look at the replay. Right here, Humanoid is their target. He dodges everything. Glacial Fish gets dodged. He doesn't get caught out of position. And just look at Jacob right here. He is shredding through 4 members without ult. And after that, he's barely dropping below half HP. The rest of his team is fully healthy. And after that, Illuminar Gaming knew better than to keep engaging. They disengaged, limiting those casualties to just 1 by D-Lord going down. But after that, another kill onto Ice Beasto and a tower followed, which makes eSuba get the early game lead by 3,000.
3,000 gold is rather a lot, and quite a lot of it is in Swain's pocket. I ran a small poll, Bliss, with a small community of professional players, asking them on this patch what did they feel were some of the strongest, most OP picks to pick up. A lot of things were mentioned, references to not letting people get things like Cassiopeia or Azir in the mid lane, but one champion was top of the list for every single player I spoke to, and that was Swain. And we're seeing right now why eSuba have done so well to get that pickup.
Canberraz is being actually used by S-Beast on the bot side just to deny that tower rush and it's not going to be too successful. The tower will go down. It does get compensated by another tower and an additional Rift Herald, which is pretty good for Illuminar, actually getting the most out of the space they've gotten into the top side of the jungle. But right now, just take a look at the vision from eSuba on the lower quadrant of the jungle. It's full of red wards, and I just love that by eSuba, because right here, their advantage is keeping that mid lane tower. It's never gonna go down versus that wave clear that Azaya and a Syndra possess versus the picks that Illuminar has.
Alrighty, so at the 18-minute mark, let's have a little look at the state of items in the game. Zaya has managed to complete herself that Essence Reaver. We are going to have Ezreal with the Trinity Force and the Mirror Mana stacking up. In the mid lane, we've got the Nash's Poof there for Azir, the Archangel Staff charging up for the Syndra. Up in the top lane, though, look at that Leandries and the Rod of Ages. There's a blasting one there as well. So much damage and a decent bit of magic pen for the Swain as well. Trinity Force finally completed for the Gangplank, though, who's starting to hit some power spikes.
Chekhovka is pretty strong already. He is sitting on 174 CS in 90 minutes of the game. He has been in the center of attention in those team fights. He hasn't been that top laner that isolates himself on an island on top side and tries to split push. And that's exactly the kind of advantage you need to offer your teammates in such a crucial grand final. Right here, Illuminar Gaming are playing from behind. They're 2,000 gold behind, and all they have to do is actually use the power spike they have, because Woolite has one of the fastest stacked Mura manas I have ever seen. 1930, and it's already up.
20 minutes on the clock, and Baron Nashor makes his glorious entrance onto the Rift. Will either of these teams be able to pick up that buff anytime soon? The Herald is using mid lane. Here comes the engage, though, and that's a beautiful use of the ultimate from the Sejuani, trying to get the damage in. Here comes Humanoid. He's got the ultimate available. Sejuani's already picked up a kill onto Braum, and now we see Tabasco taken down into blood form. Blubber, not long for the Rift. Down he goes. Humanoid picks up that kill, and with the jungler dead, that Baron we just talked about, I think it could well go to eSuba.
2 kills for a tower, but what else are they gonna take? Right here, Woolite has relieved his moments. He needs to be around the members of eSuba and harass them, but he does get caught instead. It is gonna result in his own death. Beastmo is also too much out of position. He's gonna follow his teammate right here in Illuminar Gaming, lose 2 of their members, and eSuba are looking to get a very fast Baron.
Overall, it is a 4-for-none. It is a perfect kill score in favor of eSuba right now, and they're about to get the Baron on 5 members. Just what can they gain from it?
I don't know, Greyheart, this was absolutely devastating for Illuminar. Right here, the real question is, how can eSuba make the best out of the hand of Baron? Because it's gonna be in their disposal for 3 minutes on the very least. And they've been hitting some pretty serious power spikes. They do have the Seraph's Embrace. Static Shield is also completed for Nardius, and that Legendary Torment is up by Chekhovka. I mean, those are all really strong power spikes for a teamfight to win, and eSuba will be very delighted to go for a teamfight with all those in their disposal.
What went wrong for Illuminar here in this replay?
Right here, you do see Chekhovka. He's already zoning away both Woolite and Sembex. This means that Illuminar Gaming will have 0 follow-up on that. And despite D-Lord being able to tank most of the damage output in that fight, later on Woolite gets caught, Ice Beasted too, and for another time, they were not able to play the fight on their win condition. They were getting run down by the Swain, who is freely diving their bot side, and by getting into the backline, there's absolutely no one who can either burst him or disengage away from him.
Alrighty, eSuba now, they're looking to see how much they can take. They take their first inner turret of the game down in the bot side of the map. They immediately turn their attention to empowering the minions in the mid lane. Looks like they might take a moment to turn and go to the dragon, which is spawning in just a couple of seconds' time. This is going to be an ocean dragon. So far, the 2 dragons have both been Cloud and both gone to Illuminar.
Not the best one, definitely. Like, I mean that extra regeneration of health and mana is not going to be very helpful versus a team that is already so much behind. Right here, 6,000 gold is more than enough for eSuba to try and snowball the game. They know they have the upper hand in the team fights. They know Swain can run them down. Even with a stopwatch per chase, it must be enough for them to go for a decisive team fight along the lines of that hand of Baron. Because just take a look at the team of Illuminar right now. I mean, Tabasco really has no power spike. He's sitting on a Cinder Hulk. With the exception of Ice Beasto, no one is really sitting on 2 items for them. And Ice Beasto, I mean, that 0-3 is definitely not a good depiction of his power in the game, but he's definitely not enough to keep 5 people with Hand of Baron away from his own towers.
Let's see if the side of Illuminar can keep this massive minion wave empowered by the Barons from taking down their turret. It does feel like as the wave clear is good. Zyra's in the mid lane pushing down, and it does look like the quick rotation is going to come in. Sejuani's joining Zyra, and this is going to be the inner turret in mid lane. It's going lower and lower and lower. Seeing Tabasco charging up, decides not to go all in with the elastic slingshot though, and yet another turret destroyed by the side of eSuba, and they are having a fantastic time of it so far.
He should be running down every tier 2 tower on the map right now because there's absolutely no way for them to wave clear. They either hard engage or they lose all of their towers, and that's exactly what's going to happen. The tier 2 tower is awaiting the next wave for it to go down. And right here, eSuba, they do not really have the need to rush into a team fight. They can go back, they can cash in with all that tower gold they just got, and after that they can force Illuminar into a fight that is definitely not going to be in their favor.
So is it a scary time for Illuminar at the moment, considering the last time they tried to be proactive and make a play, putting that Herald down in mid lane, they lost the team fight that essentially lost them half of their remaining turrets?
Oh, that bounces Veil. I don't think I've seen a more scarier defensive item being picked up, because right now Illuminar's only chance were Tabasco engaging onto him and pretty much demolishing all the damage output of eSuba very early in the team fight. Right here, that bounces Veil is going to make it super hard for them to engage onto Humanoid, and on top of that, eSuba have the ability to pretty much tower dive Illuminar. There would need to be an Emperor's Divide from Sebex beyond the imagination of mortals, because in order for them to keep eSuba away, with an Alistar engaged, with a flash ping available, with Yaki having that glacial prison to stop Tabasco's engage or stop Sebex midway, I mean, what could they possibly do? Their wave clear is not good enough, and it's very clear that they have to give away objectives and get as much time as they possibly need until they have realistic chances of winning a team fight.
And that's going to take a serious amount of time, Bliss, because at the moment it feels very much like eSuba have Illuminar on the clock, because they just keep pushing down, taking objective after objective, and there's only so much you can come back from.
I'm just looking at items. I'm looking at vision, because Illuminar's gaming top side of the jungle is completely blind, and surprisingly enough, eSuba have opted to play around that. It's like they know exactly where they're stronger, because Yaki knows he can get some pretty massive glacial prisons in that particular part of the map. And also the last tier 2 tower is definitely a very juicy target for them to have. On the meantime, I don't think Chekhovka is going to have the slightest of problems facing the Ice Beast on the bot side.
No, I think it's still going to be exceptionally tough for the Gangplank to deal with the Swain right now. It's less than a minute until the Baron comes back up again. We saw a game earlier on where I believe it was eSuba had to take 3 Barons before they eventually won game 1 against DX. They seem prepared to play a patient game here, but could patience potentially be their downfall with the scaling champions that are coming out of Illuminar?
We have seen 7,000 gold games turn around before, but right here eSuba seem to have a pretty strong grasp of the game's whereabouts. They seem to control the tempo of the game. They control completely the vision around Baron, which is, by the way, spawning in less than 10 seconds. And with Nardius having 3 items on him, I'm pretty sure they can burst through it like it's nothing. So right here, does Illuminar want to gamble with a face check and trying to go for the fight? Or are they going to leave Baron away and try to survive another hand of Baron?
That one
That's a real
perfectly
question.
positioned vision ward is going to stop the trap that eSuba had set
Here we
up. But
go.
here comes the potential burn that you were just talking about already. We see
Tabasco's
Baron
close.
taken down to 8,000 health. Tabasco is in the air, and I don't think we can see
Nardius
50-50 fight, but here it comes. He's going in with the
Still alive,
Sejuani,
though.
but Nardius has taken a massive burst of damage. The
Great
Gangplank
counter
is
barrage.
good. The Featherstorm from Nardius keeping him alive, but his jungler's not so lucky. Woolite picking up a
Humanoid
kill,
going
going
in.
lower and lower. Comes in Baron damage. Humanoid picks up that kill on the Woolite. It's going to be a
The
letdown
kidnap.
by Zach, but it's the team of eSuba who are melting Illuminar where they stand. Sebex tries to get away, flashes away from the stun out of Humanoid, but despite the jungler being down, I do believe we're going to see eSuba go for their second Baron.
The item difference, Greg, are just too great. Right here, Illuminar played a fight the best way they could, and still, you see, they cannot win. Ice Beast is getting caught, he flashed away. We cannot say the same for Sebex, who gets caught out with his flash available, but he wasn't just quick enough to survive. The Baron buff is gonna get taken for 4 out of 5 members of eSuba.
So here we
Just
go.
look at
this
this.
is the initiate coming from Yekaki.
Tabasco is just looking for that steal, but eSuba really do not want to leave him with a chance of that. So Yegi is receiving great damage from Woolite, and he eventually goes down along with the cannon barrage. But look at Woolite, he's completely out of position. He's tanking Baron, and there is very easy work for Humanoid to pick him up. And Chekovka with a massive 4-man burst with his ult is gonna decimate Illuminar Gaming. eSuba is just a piece of cake for them to simply clean up that fight. They turn away and go towards that Baron and constantly keep baiting Illuminar into the Baron pit since they do not really have an option.
And Humanoid, that key factor of eSuba, is going to be proud, having watched that replay to see how mechanically he played the Syndra, pressing R at the perfect moment.
Well, you know what? Tanking that Baron as an Ezreal along the lines of a 5 versus 5 team fight is definitely the biggest of risks, but the punishment he got, dying with 100 HP on himself and also getting the unleashed power of Syndra is basically the best he could do as an Ezreal ADC at that point. He drew all the resources on himself. He made sure that his teammates will have the least amount of cooldowns to worry about, and yet again, Illuminar lost that fight.
They did, but they did finally pick up their first kill of the game, going over to Woolite, who you were just talking about, and the former LCS player is putting up a decent showing, trying to keep his team in this game. He's picked up that Quicksilver Sash, so he's trying to negate some of the CC coming out of eSuba. Right now, the final in the turret has dropped. We're seeing 6 turrets to 3 in favor of eSuba, and now the siege begins at the inhibitor turrets.
Right here, I want us to take a very quick look at the bot lane, which is piling up with minions. All those minions are gonna slowly try to basically threaten the tower of eSuba on the bot side, or simply just 20 CS being lost in terms of experience and gold, something that eSuba would not like to happen despite them having the advantage. Of course, what would you rather have? Would you rather waste 30 seconds of the hand of Baron or pick up 20 CS on the bot side? Of course, the answer is utilizing that buff, and that's the exact reason we see no one from eSuba going towards bot side.
No, but we are going to see them pushing down, taking the first inhibitor turret of the game. The inhibitor is now going lower and lower. Here comes the Gangplank ultimate, the Cannon Barrage taking Nardius down to half health. Denick now getting caught out by the Sand Soldiers. We're going to see Yeki stepping away on the Sejuani. We have got an inhibitor living just by the skin of his teeth. Do inhibitors have teeth?
I bet this one does because it lived, but not for too much. Right here, Chekovka is
No,
going
the
to pick
skin
it
is
up.
now well and truly gone from the teeth of that inhibitor. That's going to drop. There is a decent bit of damage coming in the mid lane, in the bottom lane, as you so rightly said, but the mid lane is where eSuba are turning their attention to, rotating with their minions. Woolite gets caught out. Sejuani ultimate narrowly misses Woolite, going to slow him down very slightly, as it with the Wasteland doing decent work. Nadia stepping away because he's still pretty low after the damage that came through from Woolite earlier in that fight.
They know he needs to go back and heal. Woolite really loses all that tempo because as long as Illuminar Gaming cannot move as 5, right there eSuba can go towards that bot side of the jungle, clean up all the resources that are in there, and completely deprive Illuminar Gaming of gold into their own base. They're basically trapping them in, starving them out, and they're slowly waiting for that Nardius to pop up and completely outscale Woolite, which is gonna happen eventually, especially right now where he has 100% critical strike.
It's true, but the right barrel from Gangplank could still do the work. We saw how Nardius got chipped away. I'm not entirely sure if it was by Woolite or the Sand Soldiers of Sebex, or even from a barrel of Gangplank, but a couple of hits land onto him, and all of a sudden it doesn't matter how heavily Nardius is scaling, he can still get hurt pretty badly.
Right here, I would say the most important part of the game is just look at the jungle and mid lane difference. eSuba is leading by 1 item in each role, and in the end, that's what really makes a difference in those team fights. As those advantages pile up, they really make it an insufferable team fight for the team of Illuminar. So right now, eSuba, yet again, pile up into that bot lane. They're grouping. They're waiting for a mistake to happen so they can collapse onto Illuminar Gaming. Since there's no Zonia, there's no stopwatch onto that Chekuthka, they really need to find a way to play that 5 versus 5 without going for the dive.
Here we go, 35 minutes almost on the clock, and it could be a potential trap. Tabasco not face checking just yet.
This is a
I
blind
can't
jungle.
quite believe that we are looking at this 10,000 gold lead. The Super must think that it's Quemus at the minute, because they are going closer and closer to the first victory in this crucially important first game of the best of 5 series here at the V4 Future Sports Festival.
eSuba are very patient. Right here, we will be having the last normal dragon spawning very, very soon. Now, all dragons after that are going to be elder ones, which of course is the ultimate tiebreaker into matches as this one. So right here with this eSuba, they're piling up, they're waiting for a mistake. Illuminar do not really give them that mistake as a favor. They're very patient into their base, and despite them being weaker, they're really forcing them into a stalemate until they scale enough to utilize on eSuba's mistakes, and that's exactly what should happen.
Alrighty, timer is coming up on that dragon, on that Baron, as you were saying. And I do believe that we have had that ward from Illuminar just narrowly spotting eSuba, preventing any fatal face checks for Illuminar just yet. They are really trying to hang in there. They really want to pick up this first win. Braum getting caught out.
Yeah,
However,
he's
we're going to
flanking
see
them.
Yeti in the backline. Throws his ultimate, misses. There's going to be a knock-up onto Denick, and that's going to possibly be enough disengage. But here we go. Denick going big, looking for Ice Beast, though, has to flash away, getting himself out of trouble with the Elder Dragon up. Tabasco is down to less than half health, and we do see vision control is perfectly there for eSuba.
That's an Elder Drake. That's not something you can gamble with. Right here, both Baron and Elder Drake are up. They're minions into the base of Illuminar Gaming, so they have 3 objectives into their own minds. 1, defense base. 2, get that Baron. 3, deprive that Elden Dragon from being taken. Right here, Illuminar Gaming have more into their hands than they could possibly wish for. And eSuba know exactly that, so let's see how they do capitalize.
Tabasco uses the slingshot. He gets closer to the Blastone, but Yeki is going to take it away from him. Let's bounce use. I'm not sure when the slingshot will be back. But we've got 3k health. Baron, we've got lower health on that, though. Pretty much everybody on the Super going lower and lower. It's going to be Denick who drops Gangplank, picks up the kill to Sway. Sejuani does secure the 3rd Baron of the game for
There's the flank.
But look at the health bars melting. This is the fight that Illuminar need. Shut down onto Humanoid. That's going to be Ice Beast, though, picking up a crucial kill. Nardius trying to run for the hills. Is he going to be able to outrun the Gangplank? Flashes away from the barrels. Sejuani goes down to Ezreal. And yeah, you might have the Baron on 1, eSuba, but you just lost 4 crucial kills.
All this patience, all of this time has actually paid off. Illuminar Gaming did not give in. They lost the Baron, but it's on to only a single member, and that's Nardius. So right now, they're going to be picking up that Elder Drake. They're going to reward themselves with all that patience, and they do have actual chances of coming back from this one.
This game is at 37 minutes. The inhibitor has respawned in the top lane for Illuminar Gaming. They're about to get the Elder Dragon. They've got 2 Cloud Dragons to enhance the burn. Here's your replay.
look at this right here. Tabasco is just flexing around. He's trying to find a weakness. He's trying to find a moment of weakness to snatch that Baron. There goes Yeki, actually depriving him of the blast gun, and eSuba completely turn around and go for dealer. That beautiful triple stand, but there's no follow-up, and now Ice Beast though takes the cake. He goes in, they completely surround them into that Tribus with Tabasco jumping in. There's absolutely nowhere for Humanoid to go. He gets completely liquefied, and after that, Nardius is the only one who ends up with a Baron buff, and all that with the use of his flash too.
We're going to see a teleport here. Swain going into the mid lane. That's going to be a shutdown. Azir takes down Nardius. There's no Baron buff remaining anymore. And that's going to be an ADC eSuba. We do see Sebex going down, however, and now Braum drops as well. 2 members dead on Illuminar Gaming. Just what can eSuba do with this 4 versus 3 power play?
It's a 2-for-1, but they do need to use those death timers, because this 1 death for Nardius means the complete deprivement of that Baron buff. Now, all 5 members of eSuba have died without them keeping that Baron they so hardly worked for. eSuba have that Elder Drake. They know they're strong into the fight. They could even possibly win 3 versus 4. And that Infinity Edge being completed for Ice Beast can make a huge difference.
Ice Beast though went really big in that fight around Baron, just watching the way that he zoned out the Swain, finally winning the 1v1 matchup against his lane opponent that had been waiting for 38 minutes for, and now that he's got himself 40 CS lead, he's probably got himself enough doubloons to do work. Here's what happened that we missed in mid lane.
Nardius knows he's dead. He's buying time for his team. The engage from Yeki gets dealer, and that's really not the target you're looking for. Right here, Illuminar gets deleted into that team fight, but Woolite with some really good positioning escapes, and along with Tabasco. And as long as we were watching that replay, we just saw an actual trade of Humanoid and Ice Beast, which is weird.
It is all going down in this game. It's taken 30 minutes or so to get cracking, but the fire is well and truly lit here in this grand final. eSuba, who had patiently been trying to push up, take as many objectives as possible, lost their patience around Baron 1 time, paid the price, and now we see Illuminar are back in it. They are fighting for the right to be saying they're 1-0 up in this grand final. Everybody wants to win this one. It's huge money we're talking about for whichever team wins. And I'll tell you what, no one's going down without a fight in this game.
To be quite honest, right here, Greyherd, Illuminar Gaming has had a tremendous performance until now, and they're quite honestly being... they're having the upper hand. Just look at this. Humanoid is sitting on 6 items, and no matter what kind of gold or experience he gets now, it's being completely wasted. On the other hand, there's Sebex sitting on 5 items. He has 1 more item slot to complete, and that can really make a difference, because a full late game Azir is nothing to joke with. Right here, they have that Gangplank sitting on 6 items. They are waiting for Woolat and Sebex to catch up, and while eSuba are sitting on full build, trying to enter the base of Illuminar Gaming, Illuminar are just soaking free XP and gold being thrown into their base again and again, while 2 Barons were not enough to crack open that inhibitor.
And in the end, it was 3 Barons as well, because obviously the extra Baron that was picked up but wasted. Meanwhile, in top lane, Gangplank takes himself down and in a turret, and now we see engage coming in from Tabasco, looking for Humanoid. Can he get the stretching strike? That's a nice use of the ultimate coming in from Checky, keeping his team alive, and that is all Yeki keeping his team safe. And now the catch onto Ice Beast, so he's looking for the flank, but he's having to flash away. He's got 5 members of eSuba running after him. I'm not sure the orange is going to be enough to keep Ice Beast okay. He's going lower and lower. He's going to meet an absolute destructive force in Nardius, who picks up his 4th kill of the game. What can eSuba do? Flash forward from Yeki, trying to catch on to Woolite. He hops his way to safety using both his using his flash actually in the end to get to safety. The disc goes down for Azir in the mid lane, and now that is an exposed inhibitor turret, and there are minions here. eSuba have just got to push.
Jakutka has 5 charges, and there's absolutely no way clear with Ice Beast being dead. Right here, Illuminar Gaming have absolutely nothing to defend their inhibitors with. This is going to mean 2 inhibitors going down, and actually Tabasco trying to do something right here, but it could end up pretty badly. So Illuminar Gaming are standing behind. They are going to give 2 inhibitors away. They have already proven that their patience can be used very, very dangerously. And since they survived 2 Barons, they can survive 3 minutes for the inhibitor response.
They can,
Once
but
for sure.
can they survive if after 40 seconds we see eSuba take their 4th Baron of this game?
It's pretty easy to understand right here, Greyhard. I mean, Ice Beastow's death timer was the only thing that eSuba could capitalize on and severely punish. Right here, Illuminar Gaming are pretty much immortal. If they only lose Ice Beastow, they lose their they completely lose their ability to fight. So keeping Ice Beastow alive is the win condition of Illuminar Gaming. eSuba need to do everything in their to take down Ice Beastow and make sure that physical AoE wave clear is not there for Illuminar.
Tell you what, Bliss, I do think the side of eSuba might need a grey heart-to-heart at some point just to tell them, pick themselves up. They've been winning this game for 40 minutes, not to throw it away now. They've got those inhibitors exposed. They've got good vision around the Baron. Illuminar Gaming, though, not wanting to get caught out again.
Chekuthka again has those 5 souls onto him. That means his ult is going to be much more dangerous. And right here for Illuminar, they need to position themselves so well. Dealord is already so low, though.
He goes low. He eats up a lot of ultimates though and survives. There is going to be Sebex going forward, but Nardius, he absolutely deletes him. Not entirely sure what the mid laner of Illuminar was doing, but I do know for a fact that the ADC of eSuba was ready. Now we see Swain putting down some decent damage. We're going to see the Baron dropping for the 4th time this game, and yet again, it goes to eSuba.
eSuba with 3 consecutive Barons, and right here with 35 more seconds in the Sebex death timer, they're looking to go and end with that wave onto the top side. Ice Beastow needs to actually recall and go defend with his team, because right here that 4 versus 3 is gonna be so painful. There's the teleport with Denik actually changing it to assist his team. 5 versus 3.
One Nexus turret is gone, the second one is going low and low, the fight is breaking
goes down.
out. We are going to see Zai pick up a kill onto Zac. That Nexus turret is going to drop. Will we see the Nexus going down? Yes, it's going to be game 1 of this best of 5 series to eSuba.
Absolutely amazing performance from eSuba.